the legendary,
chill.
Legendary
Chill, man.
Rodney Jerkins.
Oh, appreciate that,
Bro.
Man. Thank you.
I'm like a legit fan of your catalog. I grew up listening to you, and not just let me just say this, and I'm not trying to gas you up. Not just like listening to you and not knowing, like listening and knowing who Darkchild is, knowing because I was into music, releasing music in the early 2000s, so I knew, oh, that's a Darkchild record. Like I knew your credits 25 years ago. Yeah. So to be sitting here with you today in person, in the flesh, and just to even have your support and your encouragement for what I do and wanting to have a conversation with me is just amazing. So
I watch you every day, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, one time for Rodney Jerkins watching me every day.
Every day.
That's love, man. Okay, so all right, I mean, listen, people can look up the accolades and you have an incredible discography. I don't know how many platinum records you got, but for folks who are like tuning in, may not be familiar, you just also won an amazing award and an achievement award. Just tell people briefly a little bit about Rodney Jerkins, and then we'll get into some of the fun stuff.
Yeah, I've been songwriting, producing for 30 plus years. I worked with every artist imaginable, from Michael Jackson to Justin Bieber to Beyonce to Lady Gaga to Kirk Franklin, just everyone. So I've been on this music road for a long time. Yeah.
So 30 years. Yeah. What was, if you can go back and say the first kind of breakout moment for you, do you remember what that moment was in terms of like, one, hey, your name is now starting to get some buzz and people are coming to work, and then also like, hey, like I'm making a comfortable living now, and this is prospering financially?
Yeah, I was 18 years old. I'm from South New Jersey, and there was an artist from South Jersey that I discovered. Her name was Gina Thompson, and we had this record that we put out. It was kind of just bubbling. It's one of those records that everybody's talking about, and that led to Mary J. Blige. Her A&R called me, asked me to come to New York for like a listen session and play my music, and it led to me producing pretty much a third of the Share My World album.
So that was the first breakout moment.
That was it, yeah.
What was the first pop moment for you where you was like, oh, we on the pop top 40?
Yeah, I think it was,
joints.
honestly, I think it was when Brandy and Monica's The Boy's Mom crossed over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man,
like
you talking about my childhood right now, bro.
Yeah, when that came out, it kind of just like, I think it kind of was like a radio shocker, because I think everybody at that time was accustomed to like Babyface on the ballad end and Teddy Riley on the New Jack Swing. And then this sound that I created was like something with orchestras and harps and different things, and it just kind of like it hit radio differently. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you were talking, I mean, this is
that was
early on.
That was 98 when that came out.
Yeah, this is really early.
Yeah.
Gosh, I was like 8th grade. So you same year, was that the Jordan 14 infamous?
Probably so.
I think 98, right?
Probably
Jordan
so.
against the Utah. I think that was his last the last dance.
Yeah,
I think it was 98.
So.
Yeah, because I remember going into 8th grade, and that was a wow. Okay, so now tell me a bit about your faith journey. You grew up in a church.
My dad's a bishop. My own choir director.
Okay, so you learned to play in church.
I mean, a little bit. I think just naturally, I think if you're in a church where you're part of a family, that you just have to play. Like there's no, you just get up there and you just go. And so that was really, my brother was really the keyboardist, and my sisters played tambourine, sing in the choir. And I was kind of like I was the kind of the kid that would come into the church with a drum machine on his head. I was a little bit out of the box for.
But it was letting you rock the drum machine in church?
Definitely.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I had people, of course, in the church that didn't understand it and looked at me funny, but that was just who I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, music is very different today versus back then, right? And every measurable metric, how an artist is broken, how the music is made, every way measurable. But for you, early on, you're a church kid. Your dad's a Christian, a bishop.
Yes,
was there any tension in terms of like you're producing for non-Christian artists?
You know, what's funny is that like I'm older now, so I look at life differently than I did back then. So the journey was when I was a young teenager wanting to be a producer, and I was gravitating towards hip hop and secular music, it was actually forbidden in my house.
Okay. So was it because it was forbidden that it made you want it more?
I think so. I think naturally most Christians, we rebel.
Yep.
And so I was rebelling, and I was also trying to, do hip hop in church. And the more I did it, the more, and then when I started to actually make money from it, then it's like that's when everything got received. So now I look back and I'm like, oh, that's just not right in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, I would have rather it been like stand on 10 toes down and be like, nah, this is forbidden and don't do whatever, versus, okay, now we cool with it. Some checks rolling in, some titles coming in, offers coming in, we good now, right? So I feel differently now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older and I look back and I'm just like, man, like it just makes me like wonder and question a lot of things in certain churches.
Yeah. I'm assuming as you got older and as you got more established, you could speak into the content more of the music that was being made. But was there any stuff back then that you produced that you were like, ooh, man, some of this content, some of the stuff that's being said in the record, not necessarily like, is it labeled Christian, is it labeled secular, is it hip hop, is it R&B, but like, oh man, there was some stuff said over your music that if you go back, you go, I'm uncomfortable with it.
I made positive music, like, lyrically, like all the music that I've been a part of. I think it was, 90.9% positive. But
you said, hold on, 90.9 or 99?
99.9.
Okay, I was going to say, because that's 10%. Potential debauchery.
90.999.
Okay.
Right, 2 nines, actually.
Okay.
But I will say this, like, again, as I get older, I'm starting to realize that the path is also narrow.
Yeah.
And I feel like, when you in it in the church, when your church, your fathers who's a pastor is rooting you on, then you think everything you're doing is right.
That's a degree. I mean, we people deal with this, a degree of pragmaticism. Like, it's pragmatic in the sense that because something is successful, therefore the Lord must be in it and he must be cool with it. And sometimes things can be successful and God may not all the way be in the how, right? The why might be like, hey, I want to glorify God with my gifts to produce and make music, but that some of the how might be a little.
But is it glorifying God?
Is it glorifying God? Yeah,
that becomes that question that even I struggle with sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, even now, like if I was there to call from like Justin tomorrow and he's like, yeah, man, I really need you to be part of my project, I would think, the natural instinct, my natural producer instinct, but like, yeah, let's get it. That's my natural thing. But now the spirit side of me be like, hold on, is it line up? Is it line up where I'm at in my life? Are we going to be able to make the music that's going to be able to line up where I'm at with my life? And
that came from maturity.
And by the way, it's maturity, but I'm not going to sit here and lie. It's a struggle. It's a thing that I wrestle with daily, right? Because it's like there's people that are Christians that say, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with that," right? And then I think that's the part where when you start to search your own heart, and it's like, man, and I'm just like, I'm at that crossover. I'm like, I just want to hear God's voice and know that I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
Because what I don't want to be is I don't want to be like, yeah, nah, because, it's just good and the lyrics is good and ain't nothing really, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Justified.
Like, now I don't want to be justified because I don't want to be judged on that either. Like, I fear that. I fear that moment, like that the world ends and God is judging you. Like, nah, but you knew in your heart that it was wrong, but you kept choosing to do wrong.
Yeah. I know of a handful of producers, but one in particular, a close friend of mine, who primarily sustained himself with producing for all the local non-Christian artists. And they weren't just non-Christian. I mean, this is some straight like debauchery, some straight street money, some trafficking money, and they were sustaining themselves. And to them, they compartmentalized because they started going to church and they were kind of working through their faith. And they were like, man, I see this more as a job. And then what happened is when they would come work with us, at the time it was the Breaks, then it became the Dream Junkies. It was like, man, I'm just happy to be working with some Christians. Like, I'm just happy to be producing on Christian records, so I'll do whatever y'all want.
By the way, that's how I saw it my whole life. My whole life was like, well, what's the difference? And when I would have these conversations, I'll say, well, what's the difference with the person that's working at a 7-Eleven and selling cigarettes or liquor? They're working at 7-Eleven. Or what's the difference of a person that's working at a casino, right? And they're behind a blackjack table and someone's, gambling. That's how I looked at it. I'm like, well, they're not the one that's doing wrong. It's the person that's actually the drinker that's doing wrong. It's the person. And I feel like if I have to find that much in it, then something's wrong. If I have to question it that much, then something's not right, because that just means I'm convicted.
Yeah. My mom was a blackjack dealer for like 25 years. And I will tell you that she indoctrinated me. And my mom was not a Christian, but like never gamble. Like she's seen the most upfront levels of degeneracy with gambling and like what it does to people. However, there was a window of time where she recently came to the faith, but about 15 years ago, she started kind of going to a church, and the first thing they hit her with was, hey, you can't work at a casino. And she's like, wait a minute, like, what do you mean I can't work with a casino? Like, this is all I know. And so I do think there is hey, let's not put a yoke on people they may not be ready for. Like, let's walk them through the journey of sanctification. And then at some point, we may need to sit down and say, you can't work at Hooters for Jesus, sis. You can't deal cards for Jesus, sis. Like you can't, like, you know what I mean? Like those kind of more gray areas, because it's stuff like you can't be a meth head for Jesus. You can't be a pimp for Jesus. But then there's those little kind of compromising gray area careers that I think people often, you kind of justify it. But telling someone that too soon can potentially scare them away as well.
Facts.
Will you think if someone would have came harsher at you in the earlier seasons of your life, it may have pushed you away from God or pushed you away from the church? Or do you think that, or was it, I disagree, and then you still can't come to it in your own time?
I just think I wasn't equipped with the word enough as a youngin' to even understand it. So if someone would have put that on me, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. I would have had the wisdom, I wouldn't have had the knowledge to be able to accept it properly.
But I feel like whenever I've heard of Dark Child, I've always known you were a Christian.
Yeah, but there's another gray line, right? Like a lot of us call ourselves Christian, right? But what does that really mean? Like, right? To be Christ-like. So to be Christ-like is Christ producing "Say My Name"? Is Christ, producing, As Long As You Love Me, or Telephone for Lady Gaga? So, so I don't, I would consider myself a Christian if someone said, why do you consider yourself Christian? I'd be like, because I separate myself from a lot of worldly things. Like I don't go to clubs, I don't drink, I don't do all these things. But the bottom line is that doesn't mitigate the fact that I was a sinner and sinned all of these years. No matter what, no matter how many times I called myself a Christian, I still lived in sin.
In what ways?
In many ways. It's just in life, from women to not. I think being a Christian is living the word, like knowing the word and living it is to be a real Christian, right? Everything else is, to me, it's just like, we got so many people that use that title, but then you knew it because you might have seen magazines. Oh, he's a Christian, or the bio says, oh, Christian, but it's going to be in the fruit. It's not going to be in anything else. It's going to be like, until you get to know the person, until you see the fruit, you don't really know what they really are. So
was there a moment where you feel like you had that full surrender to Jesus, or later on in your life, where you were like, hey, I'm giving God everything, including my music?
Yeah, I think recently it's been more so that surrender, like God, I want to do whatever you want me to do.
What prompted
that? I want
that?
to be obedient to you. I think fear of God.
Yeah.
I think as I want to live in a place of fear of God every day. If I can do that, then then I'll get wiser every day. So, and I don't think I lived like that before. I think I was just making music, having fun, just being riding and growing and having fun, and just like, that's just what it is. But then you get older into a point where it's like, I got 4 kids, my wife, and I want to be a great example to people. And I also see something in the Christian hip hop space, Christian R&B space. I see all these spaces, and I'm like, man, like they need someone to help them as well, on many levels, not just the music side, but many levels spiritually. You know?
Can I kind of prod and poke a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the things I talk a lot about in a book I just wrote called Godly Ambition, which I'll get you a copy of, is the idea that often people just, as Christians, we know we're supposed to remove sin, right? We know there's things we shouldn't be doing. But what we tend to forget to do is you can't just remove vice without replacing it with virtue. And so was there a layer to what you're just saying, if I'm just listening to you from the outside in, where you knew, oh, I shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z, but it wasn't until you had the vision to replace it with something new, something fresh, something different, something
100%.
challenging,
Yeah.
Christian hip hop, Aliens Alive, all these new artists you're working with. Would you say there was a correlation there for you in terms of, yes, I know I'm supposed to do things, but now I got a vision for what I am supposed to be doing. I am supposed to be pouring into this community.
I think God showed me clearly what I was supposed to be doing, but I think also when I got around it and I saw a different type of hunger from the youth that intensified me, right, and it inspired me. I noticed like everybody that I was meeting, like they were all married and young. I was like, whoa, like that's different, right? Like the secular industry is the opposite. They're telling you don't get married, right? They're telling you the absolute opposite. Everything is the opposite. And I'm meeting all these guys. Hovey's introduced me to his wife. John Keith has introduced me to his wife. Alex Jean has introduced me to his wife. And I'm like, this is amazing. Wow, like that alone right there is just different. And that's encouraging to know, and that encouraged my kids. My son, who's 17 years old, right? He has his mind set that, he wants to find a wife in his younger years and get married, right?
Amen.
And enjoy his youth with her, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that God, he's always been like knocking at my door. Like I've always knew he was knocking at my door, but I just think like in the last couple of years, he started banging on my door.
Come on.
Like for real, like I really think I honestly think like maybe, I know this could sound crazy, but maybe I probably escaped hell, right? Because if he was banging that hard, he must have knew like, yo, you're on the wrong path and I need you to get right so you can enjoy really what I have for you, because I kind of like to tell people like, this ain't nothing. Like what we experience here, we're just here to we're really here to encourage and tell people about Jesus. But it's really the eternal life that's we need to look forward to. Our goals have to be set on that. If our goals are just set on, I want to have the hottest podcast or I want to have the hottest song, that's so limited. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I was 23. My wife was 21 when we got married. We've been married almost 17 years now. So great. I think that is a really good observation from you. Having kids really changes everything. I remember like even 20 years ago, I mean even 15 years ago, the things that I would allow to be played in my car. Not like crazy, like I'm not talking drill music, but like Nas, Jay-Z, just the stuff I would play. And like now I couldn't imagine playing Stillmatic or Illmatic for my 10-year-old, which is why the Christian music is so huge, because my folks that I grew up was like Tupac indoctrinated me. Like DMX was who taught me that God could be real. Wow. Nas, Stillmatic era, beefing with Jay-Z. Like these are the people that discipled me. In terms of worldview, and it was so much I had to detangle. But my child, my son, my 10-year-old, and my 4-year-old as well, like John Keith, like he knows John Keith. Like John Keith comes by the house, Indie Tribe, Forrest Frank, Hovey. Like he has met all of his favorite rappers, like literally all of his favorite rappers he's met, or at the least he's been on FaceTime with them. And so I was like, man, what if I would have met Tupac at 10? Right. What if I would have met Nas at 13? Like what a trip to see the experience that he's having, and the music that is coming out today is so wholesome. And so it's like, I don't really have a desire to even go back to stuff. Meaning like, I'll listen to like the latest Nas, Mass Appeal release. And check, it's not a rotation like that, because there's so much good Christian music.
Ask you a question, like, I gotta ask you a question, because like, I've always wanted to understand this, because I was watching another episode of yours recently, and you were talking about, the dude from, I think he's in Eclipse, and one of them
Malice,
Malice, and then
I like that he brought this up. So now this is fair game. Go ahead.
No. The reason why I asked, because it's like I always wanted to know, like, as I watch different podcasts and I watch different Christian podcasts specifically, why the emphasis is on secular artists, right? Like, I feel like there's a big emphasis on what happened yesterday with Justin Bieber's project just dropped, or Clip's project just dropped, and it's like, I feel like it's interesting to me. I'm trying to learn, like, why as Christians do we study secular? Like, even in our label, I have most of my artists on my label will text me and say, hey, yo, you think you can get so-and-so on my project? And it's always a secular artist, right? My son was talking to an artist last week, and he asked her, like, so who are you inspired by? She's a Christian artist. And it was like Drake, Kendrick, Future, these are all the people. And I'm just like, is it that we don't have enough great Christian artists out there, like for your son listens to, right? Do we not have enough? Or why is it that we feel like we still have to go to the world to be inspired? And that's starting to jolt my spirit like crazy lately, because I know, like, in James 4, we're not even supposed to be like looking at worldly things like that. And it's jolting me because I'm watching all of these different Christian podcasts. Like, you know, I've had conversations with like a Marcus Rogers before, right? But let's say Marcus Rogers, like, he talks 9 to 10 times about secular artists. So I just want to understand, like, from someone who actually does this, like, why do we feel the need to go? Can we not talk about Christian artists? Is it not juicy enough? I'm just trying to figure out the perspective behind it.
I like that Rodney Jerkins is pressing me right now on Christian YouTube. This is great.
I'm sorry, but
this is great.
Hit me differently. I just want to understand
So I would say we are talking about Christian art. I'm talking about Christian artists.
Okay.
We did 2 Forrest Frank videos this week because he got miraculously healed from a back injury. It's supposed to take him 6 to 12 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And he got healed in 2 weeks, and he's back to walking without walking with a back brace, on top of having like 2 #1 songs.
Wow.
Back to back.
That's amazing.
That he wrote while broke without being able to use. So we just did 2 Forrest Frank videos this week.
Okay.
I've done videos highlighting Christian artists all the time, right? Here's the macro, though. The macro is there still is a culture out there, and in the same way that Jesus would use cultural references, he's talking about farming and agriculture. He's talking about the 10 bags of gold. He's talking about the 5 talents, right? Like that. Those are cultural references that I think people can resonate with. That stuff made sense to them at that time, right? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, right? So that's a reference to a iconic person in that culture. So when we're talking about it, I attempt to do 2 things. One, I attempt not to just dunk on culture and not just say, Justin Bieber is still smoking weed, right? No, I go, hey man, here's all the things he did really well. Like, I'm really proud of him for doing X, Y, and Z really well. I think it's dope that he talks about Jesus.
That's why I watch you so much, because I feel like you're not bashing people.
Yeah, and I really try.
And I feel like after you give the context of the content, you go to scripture.
Yes,
and I appreciate that. I've been really, I see a lot of artists always hit me up for the secular feature. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, why do we feel we really have to go that route?
I'll explain that in a second, though. So I think, one, that's why I do it, and I'm also trying to create a different precedent that when the person I'm making a video about clicks in the video, they hear me sandwich it with something really positive, hopefully, and then a concern or a critique I may have, and then something really positive at the end. And oddly enough, people be watching. Like I mentioned Tyrese. Me and Tyrese became friends because I made a video bigging him up, and then said, hey, I'm concerned about some of this stuff. You know what I mean? So that's my intent. I can't speak for everybody in the space. I do think that the music space is still slightly behind, because there is still a need for validation from the world a bit, where, like, I don't need a non-Christian to come on my platform to feel validated. If I get to interview, I don't know, Justin Bieber someday, cool. If I don't, cool. Like, I don't need that to validate what I'm doing. But I do think these are interesting cultural conversations where there's overlap with faith. I do think that. But rappers desiring secular collaborations, I don't know. I think if there's genuine relationship with someone that you have and they're a secular artist, or maybe a non-Christian artist, a secular artist who's a Christian privately, I think that's a bit different. Like, I think we all want to make music with folks who we're friends with, even if they're not Christian. Like, I think that's what creative people do. But the desire to be like, oh, like, I need a verse from fill in the blank. I need a feature from. I haven't felt that way in a decade plus. You know, I haven't done that. I just haven't felt that way. So I think there's still a desire for validation. I think we still want to be validated by the world. That's crazy. Because we don't feel validated in our identity in Jesus. And I'm not saying for everybody, all places, at all times. I'm saying generally, I think that's it's in my opinion, from a little bit of an immaturity. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's wild. It's just wild. It's wild because here we have the cheat code, the King of Kings, and yet we still want to be validated by people who are struggling with so many different things and pushing so much stuff on our children that's not of God, but yet we want that validation. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think that Christian music, though, as a whole, but specifically Christian hip hop, is getting there. Like, I think the resurgence we're seeing with what's happening in CCM, the Phil Wickham, Brandon Lake stadiums, Forrest Frank arenas.
It's happening.
I think it's about to, like, I think Christian hip hop is next. Like, I just saw Hovey pack out the same venue that Forrest packed out, the 1,000-seater in San Diego, 1,500, 1,200, something like that. The Observatory in San Diego. Wow. I just saw Hovey there. 3 months before that, I saw Forrest sell out the same venue. Wow. So I think it's about to happen. Yeah. The hard part is music at scale that serves a need in the market. Meaning that what Forrest does, what Hovey does, man, it serves a very specific need, and it's clear in what it is, and it's a very clear brand product proposition. I think Christian hip hop's a little fuzzy on that, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes we don't know if we want to be sold out for Jesus or if we want to be Mr. Undercover Christian but still play at churches. Mm-hmm. Like, I think there's a bit of an identity crisis in some of that stuff, but I think it's getting refined. Like, I think it's getting more and more refined. But creative people are just hard, man. Like, creative people in general, you know, are just difficult, you know, sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I always, you know what, I want to be a leader in our community that doesn't get too caught up in the numbers of it all. Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes, like, we want those features because it's going to boost the number, right? So it's like, yo, if I can get so-and-so on the record, like, what does it really matter? Mm-hmm. Like, really, okay, so the record's going to get more exposure because that person's on the record, the numbers are going to go up, right? Mm-hmm. Is that really the goal? Mm-hmm. Or is the goal really to touch lives? Mm-hmm. Like, it has to be and I want to help these artists. So I'll be the first one. When they ask me, I'm honest with them. I'll be like, do you really need, if you want me to, I'll reach out, but do you really need, like, I had to recently tell someone that, where I was like, I would prefer that, you know, the artist discover your music this way. You know,
that's the best way right there.
It's just beautiful. Yeah. If someone is like, yo, and they hit me up and be like, yo, there's this artist, this Christian so-and-so, like, I just feel like that's a way better story too.
I think the consumer is becoming more sophisticated with that's what they prefer as well. Yeah. I don't think this idea of, like, you can't, I mean, look, the biggest labels in the world, like, are having trouble breaking artists. Like, TDE is still having trouble breaking Doechii, and she got a doggone Grammy. Right. And she's still doing festivals, and it's rough, you know? Right. So it's like the biggest labels in the world, but the machines behind them are still having trouble breaking artists. So because the listeners become more sophisticated, and they want to feel like, I discovered this. That's right. Not that it was shoved in my face by the algorithm, you know, but I discovered it. So I think you're honest, but I think it does require someone like you that has had the success and is in a place where it's almost like the way you speak sounds like I can't tell if you're coming from the perspective of Solomon and Ecclesiastes. Like, I've tasted it all, I've seen it all, and, like, you know, work your land and love the Lord. Like, that's the right. Or you're Solomon in Proverbs. Like, I can't tell which season you're in terms of you having experienced the peaks of what the world has to offer and now being settled. Which one do you think?
I think the first one. I think I tasted it all, seen it all, and I know it's better. Yeah, I know God has better.
Come on,
and I want it, and I want to see that. I want to taste that. I want to feel that. I want to touch that. I want to know all that He has, and I know it's so much more. Mm-hmm. And I also believe it's it's so much that I can't even handle it right now. So he's giving us little pieces here and there to show us like this is what I have for you. I'm gonna give you a little appetizer. I can't give you the whole buffet right now. And but it's exciting to be on that journey.
Yeah, that's good. You brought this up earlier, the clips, right? From one standpoint, a phenomenal body of work, a phenomenal moment in hip hop. You got two brothers that are pushes almost 50. Mal is in his 50s.
Wow.
And massive record, massive cultural moment. I think it's saying a lot about just the shift in hip hop that like it one, lyrics matter. Two, you don't have to age out. That you can be a grown man. You could be a grandfather and still make music that resonates with people, right? The flip side of that is that I think some of what they rap about, not all of it, is also a bit of it's a character. I am playing in a movie role, and it's this whole thing that we're doing. And so, what do you make of that moment from what is happening within the zeitgeist of hip hop, but then from the faith aspect of Mal, who is a solid Christian? Mal is a solid dude.
It's just interesting to me because maybe I'm thinking a little bit too deep with it. But it's like when I think of it, when you say like this, okay, you have a 50-year-old and then you have someone in their 50s, right? And not even knowing their album, I could probably tell you that the subject matter is similar to many subject matters that they've talked about before, right? Street stuff, right?
Coke rap.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can almost guarantee you that stuff is not even happening in their lives right now. So then it becomes a thing where now I'm questioning the real intent because hip hop to me, as a purist, as a kid who grew up in hip hop, you told stories from the places that you lived and where you were at, right? You're taking stories from now. If you're telling those same stories and you're 50 years old, something's wrong.
Well, you're telling stories from your 20s and now you're in your 50s.
You told those stories. I feel like if I had to go through lyric by lyric, I'd be like, I bet you I heard this before. I bet you I can find he said this somewhere else 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, right? So my thing is from a growth standpoint, we're growing now, right? Clearly, if you look at like Jay-Z, for example, right? He doesn't make too many albums, right? But you can clearly see that he wasn't talking about things that he was talking about in his 30s anymore. It changed. The subject matter had to change because he's just not living that anymore. Like the kid is not in Brooklyn on the streets anymore. He's running the company. So it's just, and you heard him talk about that. So I think from a hip hop purist perspective, like it would make me wonder, I bet it's really good. I bet the music is really good. I bet the musicality of it is really good. I was just wondering the subject matter, what they're saying, how real it is.
I have came across a lot of folks who behind the scenes live rather normal lives, hip hop artists, big artists, who behind the scenes live pretty normal lives. Maybe they're not, married with a family, but they got, they're with their BMs, they got their main girl, and they're trying to they got a home and they come home to someone, right? And then publicly they got this persona as the drugged out rapper, the pimp rapper, the player rapper, the drug dealer rapper, the gangster rapper. What do you make of that? Like, what do you make of dudes that have a different persona but privately live more of what you would call a nuclear family, normal type life?
I mean, I think many people live that and choose that road anyway. They're not exactly who they are. Like, from big actors that we see, right?
Yeah.
And even artists.
Yeah, I think it's specifically someone like Future who got sober and kept rapping about being on drugs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, that's really sad to me, And then when more was discovered, Juice WRLD was influenced by a sober Future to do drugs.
Do you think the reason why someone like that keeps rapping about that is because they feel like the people won't want to listen to them rap about anything else, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I grew up with friends of Mace. Actually, I'm the one who led Mace to the Lord.
Word.
Back in the day, yeah.
Wow.
So knowing Mace, to me, I don't really care for a murder Mace because it's like if I'm talking to you, when I'm talking to you as Mace. But then I hear the murder, man. I'm like, that's not. I know that's not. You know, maybe you could be that back 20 years ago, but that's not who you are.
Why do you think he did that when he signed with G Unit post being a pastor?
Because I think it goes back to like even the future thing. I think sometimes it's just like, you know, you're struggling and wrestling with just that acceptance of like, you know, I don't want to just be out of this game. So, you know, and everybody's calling me corny and this and that. Instead of just being like, yo, this is what it is. Like, yo, God changed my life, and yo, I can't touch that no more. You know.
I love the Welcome Back album.
Listen, Mace is one of the. By the way, low key, Mace is one of the best lyricists.
He's nice.
Nice.
But that Welcome Back album was amazing.
Nice, bro. No, he's nice. He's been here and worked on some stuff like God stuff, Christian stuff.
Yeah.
Like he nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know, like I think a lot of times the world be pulling.
Yeah.
Like the enemy's always busy and trying to, and also will try to make you feel like, well, you are nice, but you're only that nice on this side. Mm-hmm. Like over here, it's not gonna really do anything. But over here, like you need something. You need, again, it goes back to validation.
Yeah. I did an event with Mace, and what was interesting was how well he preached. And then how normal he was, like all things considered. Like he was a normal dude. And then I saw him in Atlanta. I popped into his church, me and my wife, and all love, like the sweetest dude, you know? So then it was like this back and forth.
He was on the church in San Diego at one point, I think.
Yeah. So this back and forth of him kind of in the music, out the music, in the music, out the music, preaching, doing the music, like, and then.
Because he's nice.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
But why not? Why not just lean all into being one person? Like the root word of integrity is integer, which is being one, right? Why you think it's strictly validation? Do you think it's because he doesn't see the vision of what Christian hip hop can be?
No, I think he's just nice like that. Like it's like, for example, right? It's like, why would Floyd Mayweather keep doing exhibition fights or fighting?
But you think Christian hip hop is the equivalent of an exhibition fight?
Why would you need to fight when you've already proven yourself as a fighter?
Right.
Because you're being pulled to it.
Okay.
No matter what, it's like,
I got you.
I can still beat him.
Okay.
I still like, yo, I
want to
might
compete
need to fight,
with.
I might need to fight Manny Pacquiao one more time because I still believe.
I want to compete with the best of the best in the secular.
Exactly. And that's my struggle.
Yeah.
So my struggle is when I hear production, today's production and things that go on, I'm like, I will body that right now. I'll hear something to be like, I'll body that right now. And that be the enemy trying to pull me into it. Like just to prove to myself, and that becomes prideful, it becomes egotistical, and then all those demons that you was getting rid of start to hunt you again.
Man, do you think that whoever the next Mace is, because of what's the infrastructure being built in Christian hip hop, will no longer see I'm doing music for the Lord as the exhibition version of boxing? You know what I mean? Like, I think someone else is going to come to Jesus. I think someone else predominant is going to come to Jesus.
I'm 100% in agreement with. In fact, I feel it so strongly that we're going to see something happen over the next few years where we see a lot of secular artists giving their lives to Christ and literally making albums and singles and things, and we're like, whoa, I didn't realize that person.
But their allure to go back won't be as strong because there's an infrastructure and there's an audience.
I think that's what it's gonna be, where it's like, oh, they don't even know that really exists, and then it's gonna be a thing where, okay, this is here, and I could keep doing this and not feel like I have to go back to.
I feel like the feeling that this is junior varsity, I think, is probably crippling for the hyper creative person that's competing at an elite level. I think that's a very valid point you make. Yeah. If someone's competing at an elite level and they feel like Christian music is junior varsity versus, hey, like actually the biggest Christian artists are outselling some of the biggest secular artists. Technically, it's even bigger in certain aspects. Technically, how many secular artists are doing stadiums right now? 3, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Jay-Z, Beyonce, that together, right?
Maybe.
They're doing stadiums. Who else is doing stadiums right now? Stadiums? I don't think, I don't know many people that are doing stadiums.
I don't know either. Yeah.
And so it's like, but Brandon Lake and Phil Wickham are doing stadiums. I think Forrest could do stadiums in a year or two, right? So I think the bar has been raised from just a audience standpoint, and that has been cultivated. And now
I think it's going to come from the heart posture of worship.
Yeah.
The Bible talks about us worshiping in spirit and truth.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can do that, and Jesus also said where he be lifted up, he'll draw all men. Not some, not a couple, not a few, not me. All men will be drawn. So stadiums will be like, that'll be like the norm. Once that unified worship starts to happen and really people start to get it and be like, yo, like my kids was just saying, they were like, man, just feels a little, but Brandon Lake just feels authentic to me. That's what my kid said today, right? Well, look what you just said. Like he's selling, like, right? And that's when I look at him like, if we had 10 more of that, 10 more of this, 10 now, the norm of it is like stadiums is nothing.
That's good.
Nothing.
That's good. It's, man, being prophetic right now, man.
Nothing.
You had an ill moment on the Breakfast Club where you went in there unapologetic and even corrected Charlemagne and some of the other people about some of this stuff. It was super dope to see you on there.
Thank you.
Seeing John Keith on there, who I've seen, I've known John since 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, great
person.
person.
Tell me what it's been like this last run of podcasts you've done and being in these spaces where sometimes you might be the only follower of Jesus in the room, and the boldness that you had in those spaces to stand 10 toes down when engaging with a Charlemagne and having to kind of correct him and redirect him a little bit on some of his takes.
Yeah, I'm terrified. Being these podcasts is that's when God uses me the most. Because it's funny because when I'm walking into the space of it all, I'm a little bit like, oh man, I don't know if I want to do. What am I gonna, And then God just lets me know like the room is still and that He's with me, and like it's almost like knowing like David when he was facing his giant, right? It was like what people don't realize about that story, at least the way I see it, is this: it's like how could he miss? Like if the giant is so big, then you should be able to close your eyes and throw something at it and hit it.
Bigger target.
I mean? Yeah, bigger target. Yeah. God is with you. You're not missing. Yeah. So I look at it like that from that perspective, that someone like Charlemagne, who I've seen have said things multiple times and that I don't necessarily agree with, and that here's an opportunity for me to have a conversation with him about Jesus means the world to me, right? Because it's like you just never know what someone's going through. You never know what someone's thinking. But just to get some things off the chest and not trying to correct in a demeaning way. Yeah. Just trying to
You did a really good job of that, by the way.
Not trying to just like, no, this is how I see it from my perspective and my opinion in it all. That, we tend as human beings to just chase these awards. Like people are infatuated with like Grammys and different things on their shelves and all of that, right? And I remember when I worked with Michael Jackson, right? I was working with Michael Jackson, and Michael, first of all, just where he lived, like in Neverland, was just like this amazing place, right? And he had all of these different places, like I'm talking about like a 2-story video game spot. And I remember there was always this door closed at the game room, right? And every time I go, I always just like I want to know what was in it, being nosy, right? And then one day it was unlocked, and I snuck in there, and I went down and I saw all of the Grammys, and I'm just like, I was kind of like, I was only 21 years old, I was young, and I saw all of these Grammys and all the awards, and I said, so then I got back to the house and I said, yo, Mike, I was like, yo, why are your Grammys out? He said, what am I supposed to do? Tap myself on the back every time I see the Grammy? And that was like a heat check for me, right? Because I'm like, if I'm winning them Grammys, you're going to be seeing them everywhere, right? That's what I'm thinking of myself. So, but the goal, what we have as human beings, right? We put it so much about winning the gold, winning that earthly material thing, right? And I just wanted to make it really clear, like, I just don't think God cares. I just don't think he's really sitting on the throne and being like, yeah, I got the gold, the Grammy you want for the song called so-and-so. Yeah, I just don't think he's sitting there. I just think it's bigger than that, and it's beyond earth. It's the eternal reward that we should be really focused on, because if we're focused on that, then all the stuff here is not going to matter.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, that's a struggle. What I think all of us, like, we all want I coach my son's basketball, my 10-year-old basketball. I want to win the championship every time we go. I'm super competitive. So I want to win the championship. I remember I remember someone told me a long time ago, it's not about the medal, right? And it isn't. Like, it isn't about the medal. I just want to see the smile on their face when they get it and know that they worked hard and that they achieved something, and then use that as a way, like, okay, now let's put that into spiritual perspective. If you work hard at your craft with your relationship with Christ, there's a reward that's waiting for you that's beyond what this is.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. What I love about that is the thing to actually become the guy with the Grammys, right? The Michael Jackson. If I'm going to take it in a practical sense, is actually being in love with the process of becoming the type of person that can make the type of thing to have said success. So in Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about people want to change and they just focus on the outputs. So it's like, I want to change. I want a Grammy. I want to make more money. I want the scale on the weight to be different. And you're just consumed with the output. But he says what really has to happen is that you have to change your systems and your processes, because if you become the type of person that has the daily systems to become who you want to be, the outputs will come in time. You got to fall in love with the process and the systems, right? And because he says you never rise to the level of your goals, you always fall to the level of your systems. So what are your daily systems, right? But he says you can't change your systems unless you have a change of identity. So identity is so crucial in that the person that no longer identifies as a smoker is more likely to quit smoking. The person that sees themselves as an athlete is more likely to do things and create the systems and the processes that behave like an athlete, and then they'll eventually get the output, right? The issue, though, even with that is, well, where do we get our identity from, right? Like what if I am a smoker? Like, what if I'm not good? What if I'm not good at? What if I've never been an athlete? And you're just imagine I'm an athlete. I'm no longer a smoker. And so what you're getting at, though, in a deeper spiritual sense, is that identity, it can't be outside in. It can't be validation, numbers on a board, and it can't be inside out. It can't be subjective to my whims and my feelings. Because if your kid's basketball team just keeps saying we're champions, what if they're not champions? What if there's some other team that's just nasty because they stacked the deck and they got all the kids that grew up together, right?
That happened to them.
So what if they're not? But if we say our identity is not outside in, it's not inside out, it's actually top down. So J. Warner Wallace coined the language top down. So my identity is anchored in who Jesus says I am, not in my external validation or my subjective feelings. My identity. So therefore, I am a child of God. I am no longer a saint. I'm a sinner. I am sanctified. I am a friend of God. I'm adopted. I'm accepted. I'm loved. I am the temple of the living God. So you want to talk about motivation to create the systems to change our physical outcomes. It's like, my body's a temple of God. Of course I got to pay attention to what I'm eating and what I'm drinking and what right? So you have the shift is like, and it's because of who he says I am, not the external motivation or the subjective feelings. And so I think what you're getting at on a deeper sense, man, is that yes, there was something in Michael to say these Grammys don't mean anything. I'm just the type of person that creates the type of music that gets those types of results. There's a degree of obsession and a degree of commitment to that. But what is that overflowing from? Because that could be overflowing from, I need to prove them all wrong. That could be overflowing from, I need validation. Or it could be overflowing from, I want to make the most of my time, talent, and treasure to bring glory to my God with everything he's given me. Because actually everything he's given me is not even my own. These gifts aren't my own. This life's not my own, right? So I love that you connected. I love that you connected to basketball, because we did the same thing. We coached the basketball, and it was rough, bro. We had a couple teams that stacked the deck.
I'm going through that right now,
bro. It's bad. It's bad. Are y'all doing like traveling team?
Yeah, but we have like we're like, out of our last 20 games, we're like 18-2, right?
Oh, y'all nice.
Yeah,
bro.
We won like we won the championship, and then we came back the next season and we lost the championship, and now this season we just lost the first game this season, and we got a game on Saturday. Playoff games on Saturday.
Okay.
So it's like we get to the championship again, and I'm not going to be at the championship because I'm going to be a holy smoke.
Yeah, we did third place last season, and then this previous season, it was a complete blowout. It was awful. Worst season ever. So we're trying to regroup. Anyway, tell me about, you made the claim, which I had heard rumblings about, Yeah, Micheal actually came to faith in Jesus a few weeks before he passed away.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, I was. Sometimes now I look back, I'm like, man, was I working with Micheal just to pray with him? Like, was that the real purpose? Like, because I remember being in New York City, and I remember leaving a session with Micheal in New York. This is 99, by the way, 1999.
And what album was this? Invincible?
This is Invincible.
Yeah.
And with 1999, I'm leaving the session, and I remember that day getting to the hotel, and I prayed that night. I said, God, if you want me to introduce you to Micheal, or Micheal to you rather, if you want me to introduce Micheal to you, you have to open that door. Because I was 21, I was a little scared to say anything. And like literally the next day, like the door just flew open. Like Micheal said something. Micheal said something. Next thing you know, it was like an open door. And I remember from that moment on, we would just have like conversations here and there. We talk about faith. We talk about different things. We talk about his upbringing and Jehovah's Witness, all these different things. And then in 2003, 4 years later, he was in a big trial. It was his huge trial.
Which you beat, by the way.
Yeah. And he called me out the blue. I wasn't even working with him. He called me out the blue and was like, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm in Hollywood. I had a studio." He was like, I need you to pray for me." And I was like, "Okay, let's do that right now." He's like, "No, I want to come where you are." And he literally, my father was with me, Chris Tucker, who's a good friend of mine. He was with me, and Micheal drove down, left where he was, came to the studio. And the funny thing, I'll tell you what's crazy about this story. Before he came, my father, he anointed the whole studio with oil. He went around and prayed over every room, the elevators, everything. Soon as Micheal got off the elevator, first thing he said was, the first word that came out, he says, "I sense a sweet spirit in this place." That's the first thing he said. I'll never get that.
Yeah.
And we prayed, and then he left. He went back to Neverland. And it was just like, I think he had a moment where he remembered us praying. He was like, "Who can I call that's not going to judge me?" And he knew that, from our talks, that God was the only thing that was going to give him the strength that he needed. And then fast forward now, before he passes away, or before he passed away, 2 weeks prior to him passing away, Sandra Crouch and Andre Crouch, right, who were friends of his, they did the sinner's prayer with him. And Seth Riggs, who was his vocal coach, I heard it first from him. So Seth came to my house. This is right after Micheal died. Seth came to my home, and he was saying, "Micheal did the sinner's prayer 10 days ago." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, he literally did the sinner's prayer with Andre and so when I went to the memorial service, I was trying to find Andre and Sandra. I was looking all over. Like, I wanted to verify this. So I got to Sandra and I said, "Sandra, what happened?" And she goes, "Micheal accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as his personal savior 10 days ago."
Come on.
And I'm like, and so now my mind goes like, is this like an Enoch thing where Micheal, God just takes him out of here? Like, maybe that's the situation. Maybe it's like, I've been calling you for so long. I've been knocking on your door for so long. And now we can't hold on too much longer. That's the stuff that would go through my head. I was literally like struggling a lot with that. Like, dang, like I didn't want to see him pass away. No one I think want to see him pass away. But then I'm like, yo, man, like the fact that, that happened 10 days prior, like, man. So I rejoice in that. You know what I mean? I rejoice in that part of it all, because I know, like, for Micheal, I don't think Micheal ever did anything that wasn't heart-based. He wasn't that type of person. So it's like, you can't just have a conversation with him and he's just going to be like, "Oh yeah, I'll do the sinner's prayer with you just because I know you." I'm sure Andre and Sandra Crouch, who've known him since the 80s, had probably presented Christ to him many times and he said no. I can almost guarantee it. But for some reason, that was the timing that something connected.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
Wow. And praise God that he used you to plant seeds throughout that whole process, man.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Invincible is one of those like infamous albums that cost $30 million to make, and it was a big, loss for Sony and a bunch of controversy. What was it like working on that record?
It was like a mind trip, because Micheal was such a perfectionist. So he was always just like, just testing me and making me just just go through hoops to get the sounds that he wanted, just beyond.
He got you cooking up live for him?
Beyond. Like you have
producers love that, huh? Hey, do a magic trick for me. Make a beat for me right on the spot.
like that. Or calling me at 4 o'clock in the morning, like, are you in the studio? I'm like, no. Or go back to the studio. I need to hear what you worked on today. Like those type of. I was like, what? And I'd be like, in my car, 4 o'clock, driving back to the studio. Okay, and it was intense. It was very intense, and but it was the greatest experience in probably my career, because I always say, like, that was school for me. I got the teachings of Michael Jackson, who got the teachings of Berry Gordy and Quincy Jones and Teddy Riley and people that I looked up to. So to be 21 years old and working with him on that project was like blown away.
Is there anyone you've worked with in the Christian space that reminds you of Michael's work ethic?
Not yet. No.
Anyone come close?
Not yet. That I've seen, though. I haven't seen it yet. Michael's work ethic is, you got to understand, though, there was no one in the secular realm that had his work ethic. No one. I've never worked with any. No, there was no artist I can compare. No artist. Different level of perfectionist. I'm talking about. I have that. You remember the DAT tapes? I have DAT tapes where it says mix past number 40. Mix past number 40. That means we spent 40 days on one mix, and it still isn't done.
Yikes!
On one mix.
Yikes! So he was really hands-on with everything then.
Absolutely.
Not just his parts, but the production, the mixing, just meticulous with everything.
Absolutely.
What were the records you landed on that Invincible record?
Oh, I landed, like, the first song was Unbreakable, him featuring Biggie. Invincible, the title track. Rock My World.
Rock My World is a jam.
That was the one, yeah.
I thought that was going to be another mega record for him.
It would have been, but it couldn't, because at the time, so right before the project dropped, not right before, literally like 6 months, Michael was in a lot of like back and forth with Sony. And it was nasty.
Yeah, I remember.
Ugly. And it was like,
called him devilish.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was ever going to really get its real.
Yeah.
I mean, when have you ever seen a Michael album not have multiple videos?
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
True.
And funny thing is like, I look back and I think about how Michael literally told me 5 songs that he was going to shoot short films to. And 4 of those 5 were my songs. And he only had 1 video for the whole project.
Which was the record you did, though.
Yeah. God bless him.
That record specifically, is that 100% you doing all of it, or are you doing references?
I produced it 100%.
And then
I did the track, and then I had my team of writers. It was me, my brother,
playing on it and doing the instruments.
Yeah. No, I did all the instruments.
You did all the instruments.
Yeah.
You did everything
all
on it. So what did other people do on it that you didn't do?
The lyrics,
the writing on it.
The lyric. I have a production team. So a lyrical team and melody team. So it was myself, LaShawn Daniels, my brother Fred, Nora Payne, and Harvey Mason Jr. That was like my team.
So you did all the composition, all the production.
All of it.
They're coming in and sending laying down a scratch vocal for Michael to come in and listen to it.
Yeah, I still have the demo.
You still have it?
Yeah.
Can I hear it?
Oh yeah, I'll play it for you.
What does it sound like?
It sounds like Rock My World. Like,
but are they trying to emulate his voice? Like, are they trying to do it in his voice?
That's how we did it. So like, I would literally I would make every demo try to sound as close to Michael as possible. Yeah.
And so he's just coming in, and what was his first impression of that record?
Yeah, like he was blown away. He was just like, I think that at that period I had cooked up 17 records for him. So I was playing them 17 songs in one day, and that was song number 6 in that list. And I remember telling him before I played it, this is the one. Like, I knew it. I always felt that. And then he always laughed because the way I would dance to that song. Yeah. But so that became like the one.
That's fire. That's one of my favorite. As someone that grew up on Michael in the early 90s, and my first exposure to American culture, I don't know if you know this, I grew up in the former Soviet Union.
Oh, wow.
I came out here as a refugee from a country called Azerbaijan, and my dad had a video business.
Oh, wow.
It was smuggling video cassettes from America.
Oh, wow.
And so he brought over American Ninja and Michael Jackson on VHS cassette. And my first exposure, all I knew of America prior to coming to America was American Ninja and Michael Jackson.
That's wild.
So as a kid that grew up on Michael.
You knew Michael stuff.
And then So and then that record, like that's still one of my favorite. Rock My World is still one of my favorite. That's still one of my favorite Michael records.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a time.
So tell me this. Now you're doing Christian hip hop stuff. You have the label. You have an amazing roster.
Thank you.
John Keith, Aha Gazelle, Alex, phenomenal roster. How has it been getting all of this off the ground, and what are you most excited about this garden that you're tending to and you're growing?
Yeah, I'm just excited about it all because my wife and I were just discussing one day like how are we gonna shepherd our children away from the negative stuff that I knew. Like it's funny because when I was a young teenager though, I feel like KRS-One wasn't negative to me, or Big Daddy Kane wasn't so much negative. Like you said, like you listened to it back, you were like, that wasn't that bad, right? But today, woo, right? So me and my wife were like, we already saw like there was this kind of like thing happening where the kids, as they're getting older, they're getting friends, and the friends are talking about this artist and this artist. So like, how are we gonna shepherd them? And we found this station here in Orlando that played Christian hip hop, and I started playing it every day, and I played every day religiously. And they were in the backseat nodding to it. Next thing you know, my son and my daughter were like, "Dad, we should start a Christian division."
How long ago was this?
It's about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, cool, but we got to do it like right. We got to like, it's all about the roster. So we went in the room.
What is your day-to-day at that point? What are you doing? Producing?
I just finished working with SZA.
Okay. So you still produce? You still getting busy?
Yeah, I had just finished working with her, and SZA, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like we go and there was a local concert here. It was only like maybe like 53 people there, but it was like T.J. Carroll, DJ Bryce, Caleb Gordon, Alex Jean, and Kenny Rivers.
Yep.
And we went to that show, and I invited all of them back to my house afterwards, and we just hung out and we just talked and We were just talking, And then the next day, I'm telling my son and my daughter, I'm like, let's make a list of artists that you guys like. And we started making a list on a whiteboard, and it was like John Keith, and it was, you know, all these different artists on his whiteboard. And now I'm like, okay, I got to see who they're signed, if they're signed, if they're not, And I started doing my research, and now I'm listening to them. And as I started liking. I'm like, okay, I got actually obsessed with it to the point where I couldn't listen to anything else. Like I couldn't. Like I get in my car and it's like I won't listen to anything. And still, right now, if you turn the key right now, that's what you're gonna hear. And so, and I just wanted to genuinely help these guys. I feel like some want to be helped and some don't want to be helped. So I'm learning that part.
Ain't that the truth?
I know I'm learning that part out, but it's okay because we all have to grow. But I know in this season, God has put me literally, for some reason, he's put me right in the center of this for several reasons. One is to disciple, help these artists grow, but also to help people with better deals.
Tell me about that.
I just think that like I've heard too many stories of people's deals not being on the up and up. And so with that being said, I was like, okay, then I'm going to do things differently. And I'm going to make sure like we do the right thing by these artists. If we're going to do it, let's do it the right way. Let's not try to take advantage of anyone. Let's do the right deals. And so I really started even my own attorney be like, you're going to give that? You're going to do that?
Give me an example. There's something you did that's against legal counsel.
Letting the artists own their masters. But still funding it for.
You let artists own their masters?
Yeah, but still
hey, man. Hold on, man. This man is a saint, bro.
Nah.
You let artists own their masters? Yeah. You don't even co-own it with them?
Nah, like we'll do like a licensing thing for a period of time. But yeah, like and the only reason why, like one of the things that was like started breaking my heart was like I would see other labels selling the catalog and the artist not benefit from it.
Hold on, man. Hold on.
So then I would say okay. From a business perspective, I understand that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They signed those deals, so there's nothing they could do about it.
Right.
But what if there's a world where we could actually create a system, right? Where it's like, okay, you can own your masters, But at the same time, what if, let's say you didn't own this masters and I decided to sell this catalog, but you still got a chance to eat off the entire thing, right? Isn't that how it should be? So that's my mindset.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Anything else you could think of?
I mean, I think it's so much to unpack in it, and I'm still learning from it. But the major thing to me is just making sure that these artists that have families, that will have families, if they don't have families, that they will have a backbone and a leg to stand on. And if they're giving their whole heart to music, that they'll be rewarded for it at some point later on in life.
Yeah.
And not feel like, this, we sold, they sold us for this and I didn't get anything. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Come on. And
I know the situation you're talking about, which is why it's uncomfortable for me right now.
That's when I start saying to myself, like, okay, business or kingdom business? Like, okay, or if we're Christians, like that part of it, then we got to really search our heart in that part.
I think what makes kingdom business different is radical generosity. Is that as a kingdom person, I want to make sure that I never fight with you about money and that I go above and beyond to overcompensate you with your worth, because that's kingdom to me. You know what I mean?
And so that's another thing, right? Yeah. So I'm glad you said that. So you asked me another thing, like most of the artists that I know that I met, that they would tell me like with their advance or if they didn't, I just signed a well, it's not done yet. It's almost done, but I'm surprised by the time this comes out. I'm signing a female artist right now. She's not a Christian hip hop singer, but she's a singer, right? Singer. When she told me what her advance was, I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. So I get fair advances. My advances are better than some secular company advances, right? And I only choose to do that because I think that it's the right thing to do.
That's dope, man. I asked you, we did a tour, and I said, are you partnered with a major? I was like, you got investors? And you were like, nah, I don't know what any of that is. Yeah. So this is you.
Yeah, this is 100% me and my wife, because we're partners.
Yeah.
You know, that's my partners. My 50-50 is my wife. So that's all of our resources that we pour into this.
Yeah.
We hopefully will have some investors soon to help out too. But you know, we're just doing what we're being obedient, you know, told to do, and pour into, you know, the talent and I also see like it for me. The funny thing is like people are like, yo, are you making money? I'm like, no, like really, like I've given money away. I've helped artists that have some money and have some, but I'm not making anything off of. I can't tell you like, yo, I'm in a profit margin right now, and I'm not even thinking about it. Like in the minute that you do have investors, that has to change a little bit. So I do understand that, right? But I'm just trying to help people get their music out and help them enjoy it. And I also believe like why can't we shoot better videos? Like one thing, like when we're working on Grow Wings with John, I was super adamant about like, yo, we got to level up with the video. The
visuals are crazy for that, by the way.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but John would tell you, like, we had a full-on conversation here at the studio, like, yo, we got to level up with these videos. And it wasn't about making a great video for him. It was about the community. Because I feel like the only way other people will make great videos is if they start to get inspired by what you do. So let's do something great with John, right? I have a guy on my own team just question why we just shot the video that we shot with TJ Carroll, who's like a newer artist, right? And I don't like to be questioned when I know what I'm doing, what God's telling me to do, right? Like, I don't trust me. Everything that I'm doing, I'm not doing this just because, like, God is leading, right? So if I'm capable and able to be kind, right, and help an artist get better, then I'm going to do it. And then hopefully another artist that's watching, another label that's watching, they're gonna say, hey, maybe we should take some notes and we should step our thing. And then that's when the
culture changes.
Starts.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It's culture building.
Exactly.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Exactly.
Right. Your culture eats vision for lunch.
Exactly.
You could have the greatest intent, the greatest vision, the biggest ideas, but if you can't build culture, which is your systems, how you operate, how you move, your values, your ethos. If you can't build culture, then it'll all end. Yeah. You know, how can people support you?
Well, let me say that also. We got to treat everyone the same. So
Okay.
what I wanted, show was like, okay, number wise, TJ may not be on the number wise as John Keith, but he just shot a video that's on the same number level as John Keith, right?
Yeah.
When Jesus fed the people, he didn't say, well, I'm just gonna give you a little piece of this fish and just give that person over there. Nah, he fed 5,000 and he went, right? So we have to walk the way Jesus would have did it, and that's being kind. Yeah.
You're a saint, bro.
Nah, I ain't no saint. I'm far from that. Trust me.
How can people
Pray for me, bro.
How can people support y'all?
That's how you support us. You support us by praying for us, right? Because, the more we do this and the more we grow, the more the enemy's busy, right? Like the enemy wants to. It's like it's funny because I'm like the enemy trying to attack these last couple of weeks, and I'm just like, I literally called a prayer meeting with my team, and I'm like, hold on, everybody that's good on Zoom call, we got to pray today because the enemy's busy, and I know why the enemy's busy because we are kingdom bound. We're doing things to interrupt what's happening around here, right? We want to interrupt and be disruptive to the enemy's plan, right? And with God, we can be, right? And so we expect that. We expect it, but I just ask for like prayer, like the Bible says the prayer of the righteous availeth much, and so we need other kingdom people, locked in and being like, yo, we're gonna pray for that team over there, that God uses them in a mighty way. And that's it. That's the way we.
Anything specific we could be praying for?
I just think courage and having the courage to just be. I want us to be more intentional about the name of Jesus. I think something got lost somewhere where people started telling artists in the Christian space to stop saying Jesus so much. I don't know where it happened.
Yeah.
I don't know what label started it. But I'm 100% against that. I think we need to be more intentional. And I tell all my artists, I told John that, I say, I need to talk about Jesus more because the Bible says I'm ashamed of a man who's ashamed of me. And like I said earlier, he said, where I be lifted up, I will draw all men. So I think we need to be intentional about really not, like before, think about it. One of the major things was radio, right? People be like, oh, you say, I've read something, I don't know, somebody posted something recently where they're like, Kanye was saying like in the contract,
Rock Nation
that like
contracts,
Jesus like can't be mentioned. I don't know how real that is, but that's wild if it is. Like that's wild. Right, when you think about it.
Well, he said that, but then No Malice did all these interviews talking about Jesus fairly openly. So I don't know if it was like you can't say it in the albums or what, but like I felt there was some Jesus references.
Listen, man, let me tell you something, little thing. I don't know but I had in 2006. We good? In 2006. I worked at Def Jam Records, and the president of Def Jam at the time was Jay-Z, and I was senior vice president of A&R at the time. And I never forget going to my house one night. I go to these A&R meetings every week, right? And I never forget one night I had this dream that Jay-Z was crying out to God. A guy that worked for Jay-Z at the time was crying out to God. Another guy that was associated with Jay-Z was crying out to God like crazy. Like I'm talking about like pouring. I woke up startled, and I remember telling my wife, and she says, "You need to tell him." And I remember like we had two ways back then. I sent him, Blackberries rather. And I remember hitting him, texting him right away, and called him and told him my dream. Now that I'm older, I look back and I'm like, why did I have that dream? Like, what was that dream for, right? And I think about it like. The Bible says even the rocks will cry out, right? And he was showing me in that time that we had put them on such a pedestal, right? The Rockefeller, the Rock Nation, but even the rocks will cry out.
Sheesh. Come on. That's good. I'll tell you my Jay-Z story real quick. So 2012 South by Southwest, I'm at the Christian hip hop festival thing, and then I'm with Bentley, and Bentley is like, yo, let's head to the Good Music Showcase. This is right as Watch the Throne's about to come out. And so they take me, hop in, I leave, because I'm like, should I stay and like cultivate the Christian hip hop thing? And I remember Wado, shout out to Wado, was like, no, you gotta go, like you need to go. And so I go, I get there, Bentley gets me backstage. Bentley was a great dude, by the way. He was always we toured together. We did a bunch of stuff together. He gets me backstage.
That Bentley as in like Fawn's husband?
Yeah. Fawn's husband. Yeah.
Fawn was my wife's best friend.
Get out.
Yeah, like
Fawn's she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Yeah, Fawn and Derek are amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
So he gets me backstage and he's like, yo, he basically says something like, whatever you do, just like don't talk to Ye. Like Ye's about to go on, he's in his zone. Like just leave him alone. And I'm like, got it. Okay. But he didn't tell me not to talk to Jay.
Okay.
So Beyonce's back there. Everyone's there. It's right when Push comes around, I come up to Push. I'm like, yo, your brother came to faith in Jesus. And he's just looking at me like I'm crazy. I don't care, right?
Right.
So sure enough, Jay-Z is walking. And this is around the time he toured with U2. And he kept wearing this Jesus is Lord shirt. And so I walked up to him and I was like, yo. And I dapped him up. He dapped me up. And I'm like, hey, man, like, what's up with the Jesus is Lord shirt, bro? And he's like, he just kind of looks at me. He got these sunglasses on. He just kind of looks at me and he's like, and I'm like, are you trying to make a theological statement? Like, what's up? You know? And he just so perplexed. And he was like, I don't know, man. I don't ask Alexander Da Vinci. Like, I don't know. And then just kept walking, you know? But I remember telling Derek about that. And he's like, you did what? To who? I was like, hey, man, if there's one thing I will know is that he will remember that moment and someone approaching him about Jesus, because I wasn't trying to hand him a demo.
That's what he said to me on the phone, by the way, when I called him. He said, I know one thing, I'll remember this moment because you're the first one that ever even brought this to my attention.
Yeah.
So that's crazy that you felt the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So anyway, interesting time.
Great.
Anything else, brother, you want to leave us with before we get out of here?
Man, just thank you for having me on your show, bro. Like I said, I'm a fan. I watch you religiously, and it's, you know, and you're impacting lives and impacting the kingdom, and it's well appreciated, bro.
Yeah. So thank you for having me in your beautiful space.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for opening your doors, man. This has been great. Hopefully it's a blessing to people.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Peace.